Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into how an ancient story about a lost child has been seen as a kind of modern-day roadmap for anyone who feels like they've, well, lost their way on their own spiritual journey. Let's start with the feeling I think we all know, that sinking feeling in your stomach when you realize you've left something crucial behind. You know, your keys, your wallet, that moment of just pure panic. Now, what if the thing you forgot wasn't an object, but the entire reason for your trip? Well, the whole framework for our explainer today comes from a story where that exact kind of panic sets in. A family is a full day into their journey home when it hits them. What they left behind wasn't a suitcase. It was their own son. So this story comes right out of the Gospel of Luke. And get this, his parents traveled for a whole day before they even noticed he was missing. According to the author we're looking at today, that one simple mistake is a really powerful metaphor for how people can lose their spiritual connection without even realizing it. So let's really unpack this idea. The author uses this story to explore two huge questions. First, how do we get lost in the first place? And second, if we do get lost, what's the map to get back on track? All right, so how does a spiritual journey go so off track? Well, according to this framework, it all starts with a simple but really powerful human error. Just assumption. Think about it. Just like Mary and Joseph just assumed Jesus was with them in the caravan, we can assume we have a spiritual connection without ever actively checking in on it. We just kind of suppose it's there. In other words, it's a faith that's totally taken for granted. And this idea gets echoed in the book of Titus. The point the author is making here is that a real, genuine faith needs more than just saying the right words. It has to actually be shown through our actions. Otherwise, it's just an empty assumption. So once they realize their massive mistake, his parents start this frantic search. And how they search highlights the second big problem this author identifies. We often look for connection in all the wrong places. Now here's where the author connects the past right to the present. In the story, the parents first looked among their relatives and friends, the familiar, comfortable places. And we kind of do the same thing today, right? We look for spiritual answers in places that feel safe or are popular. But there's a catch. The crucial point here isn't where you look, but how you look. See, just showing up at these places, well, it isn't enough. The search has to be guided by a real, genuine commitment to the principles of the gospel itself. So searching all those familiar places just leads to more and more frustration. And this is the story's big turning point. After 3 long days, his parents finally find him. And where they find him is the key to this entire metaphor. I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. The first search, the one based on just assumption and familiarity, it only led to frustration. But the second one, an active search, that one led them to a very specific, very significant place. The temple courts, and that's where they found him. So what does the temple represent for us today? The author draws a really direct line here. The temple in that story is the church today. And that's the proposed solution, that the right place to find that lost connection is right there, within the community of the church. Okay, so the right place is the church. But how does a person actually start that journey? Well, the author doesn't just point to the destination. They provide a super clear step-by-step roadmap to get there. And here's that roadmap. The author lays out 5 specific steps to go from a journey of just assuming to a journey of active faith. It all starts with hearing the gospel. Then that hearing has to lead to believing in Jesus. The third step is to repent, to turn away from sin. And that's followed by a public confession of that new faith. And finally, the journey into the church is completed through baptism. You see, each one is a deliberate action, a clear move away from just assuming, and a move toward really participating. To wrap things up, the author leaves us with this final piece of encouragement from the book of Hebrews. It's a pretty powerful reminder that on this journey, the whole goal is to keep your focus fixed on Jesus, who's described as the author and finisher of faith itself. So that's the framework. A diagnosis for why we get lost, and a very clear prescription for how to be found. It's an ancient story that's been transformed into a modern map, and it kind of leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In a world with endless paths, what does a spiritual journey truly mean to you?